Thank you for joining us for our weekly video sermon. We pray you will be blessed by the Word of God.
God's got this thing, doesn't He? Whatever your thing is, God's got it. Whatever your struggle is, okay, God's got it. It's in control. It's going to be all right. We used to sing a song. I've got a feeling everything's going to be all right. Did y'all like that? I was trying to put some groove in it. That's enough. 2 Kings chapter 4, verses 8 through 37. We don't have time for you to read that, Pastor. Hey, guys, you need to put that clock up there so I can know when to stop. I told someone I got a story I'm going to read at the end of the message today, and they printed it out, and it's like 4 pages for a story. And I know that they were thinking, oh, Lord, how long is this going to last? And I'm thinking, well, my sermon's only like this. This is my ending. I want to talk to you about a story, and I'm going to read this along the way. But if we truly are going to put that thing in God's hands, there's a few things that we perhaps need to learn. And I want to talk to you about a woman. In fact, she was a Shunammite lady. And there was a situation that was taking place. And I pull those scriptures on up for me, beginning in the 4th chapter in that 8th verse. But this is the first thing I want you to grab hold of, and that is this. Learn how to be a giver. In other words, get your mind off of yourself. That's hard, isn't it? Oh, me. I got this going on. Remember we talked about this a few weeks back. I think we used the word a little bit too much in that message. Narcissistic people. Do y'all remember that message? Don't need to preach it again. We focus so much on. Let me just read these verses 8 through 11. Now it happened one day that Elisha, he went to Shunem, where there was a notable woman, and she persuaded him to eat some food. You want to get on somebody's good side? Feed them. Isn't that right? Feed a dog and he won't leave. So it was, as often as he passed by, he would turn in there to eat some food. Feed them one time, they keep coming back. And she said to her husband, look now, I know that this is a holy man of God who passes by us regularly. He's always coming by. Please, let us make a small upper room on the wall, and let us put a bed for him there, a table, a chair, a lampstand, so it will be that whenever he comes to us, he can turn in there. Wow. And it happened that one day that he came there. And he turned to the upper room and he laid down there. Took himself a little nap. And then he said to Gehazi, his servant, call this Shunammite woman. And when he had called her, she stood before him. Just wait just a moment. Here's a woman, notable woman. She's got her stuff together. But she's just not hoarding what she has. She says to her husband, hey, why don't we make a room for him? He seems like a pretty nice guy. And there's a need. He comes by here, and you know, we fed him one time. He keeps coming back. He wants more food. Why don't we just make him a place that he can come and he can rest? How many of you would agree that that's a nice thing to do? That's a nice thing. How many of you would agree that you and I are surrounded in a world with people that are needy? They have needs in their lives. They have situations in their lives. They have problems in their lives. They have moments in their life where they need somebody who is in tune with God enough that they would hear God and respond and be willing to be a giver instead of a taker. See, every one of us in this room, you are a giver or you're a taker. That is the natural thing. That's the first thing that comes to your mind. Either what you got for me, or what can I do for you? Now, probably all of us at some point in our lives, we've been givers and we've been takers, but there's a part of our character. And that's what we're referring to. And that's the natural thing of us. It's like, what can I get out of this deal? What is this going to mean for me? How can I benefit from this situation? How can I benefit from this deal? That's not the type of person that we're talking about here. This is the type of person that says, I'm going to be a giver whether I get anything in response or not, or anything back from it. It's not about me. It's about someone else. It's a transitional point that every one of us in our Christian life needs to make, and that is be willing to simply be a giver. Why? Because in verses 12 through 17. Let me read these things, keep reading these things. Then he said to Gehazi, his servant, call this Shunammite woman, and when he had called her, she stood before him. Yes, sir. And he said to her, look, you've been concerned for us with all of this care. You've taken care of us. What can I do for you? Do you want me to speak on your behalf to the king or to the commander of the army? And she answered, I dwell among my own people. So he said, well, what then is to be done for her? And God answered, actually, she has no son. And her husband, he's old. So he said, call her. And when he had called her, she stood in the doorway. And then he said, about this time next year, you're going to embrace a son. And she said, no, my Lord. Man of God, do not lie to your maidservant. Don't you be messing with me. Every woman in this place can understand what I'm about to say. Every mother in this place certainly will understand what I'm about to say. Or every wife in this place that you desire to have a child and you can't have a child, you understand exactly where this woman is at this particular moment. Don't mess with me, man of God. In other words, I've been going through that in my mind constantly. Constantly. You see, if you're a giver, you open yourself up for the blessings of God. It's so often I see people with their hands out, but they're not willing to do anything. If you want to open up the windows of heaven, then become a giver. If you want the blessings of God in your life, then start giving with no expectation of anything in return, with no strings attached to it. I'm just going to do the right thing. And if I do this, it's amazing what God will do in my life. Don't mess with me, man of God. You know what I've been going through. All of these years, I've so desperately wanted a child, and here you are telling me. Second thing this morning is this. Connected with that. Learn how to be content. Look at the person beside you and say, why don't you learn how to be content? Maybe you shouldn't do that. Or, wait a minute. Men, here's your opportunity without her hitting you. Look at her and say, would you learn how to be content? Now, wives, look back at him and say, I learned how to be content as long as we've been married. Now you're even. Now you're even. Contentment. I think it's the secret even to this woman having a son. That she simply learned how to be content. Go back in the Scripture. Go back to that 13th verse. Go back to it. And he said to him, saying out of her, look, you have been concerned for us with all this care. Keep right on going. What can I do for you? Do you want me to speak on your behalf to the king or to the commander or the army? She answered, I dwell among my own people. I'm okay. In other words, one translation says, it's well. Everything's all right. It's okay. In other words, I don't have a son, but it's okay. I don't have a child, but it's okay. I don't have enough money, but it's okay. I don't have the car that I really want, but it's okay. I don't have the dream job that I want, but it's okay. I don't have a husband, but it's okay. I don't have a wife, but it's okay. Wherever I am, learn to be content in the position that you're in. Because if you can never learn to be happy where you are, God can't take you to where you want to be. You understand that? We so often miss what God has for us because we're moaning and groaning and crying of where He's got us at this particular moment. Learn this, that wherever you are, God put you there, and He put you there for a reason. How can a loving God put me in this mess that I'm in? Well, first of all, some mess that you're in, you put yourself there. Quit blaming God for some things that you did yourself. But learn this, that wherever you are, whether you put yourself there or whether God put yourself there, God knows where you are. You ought to just be praising Him at this very moment because He knows where you are. He knows where you are. Do you think God is in heaven today looking down in your struggle and saying to Himself, oh no. What am I going to do now? He is so messed up. She's so messed up. Oh, look at him hurting. Look at her hurting. You see, that breaks God's heart too, but God, here's the deal. Weeping may last for the night, but joy's coming in the morning. See, our God sees tonight and tomorrow. He sees the pain and He sees the joy. He sees the hurt, but He also sees the victory in the life. He sees the struggle, but He also sees the breakthrough. He sees where we are, but He also sees where we're going. God is an awesome God. Aren't you thankful that God knows where you are and He knows where you're going? Hold on to the hand of God and learn how to be content. That's enough of a sermon right there. And you're saying, go ahead and start reading that story then so we can go home. Nah, I got 9 minutes before y'all turn me off. Well, here, number 3. Don't think that because you are blessed that you're not going to have trouble. Now, this is one we'd like to leave out of the sermon, right? We got to keep reading the story. Verse 18. And the child grew. That's what they do. The child grew. And now it happened one day that he went out to his father, to the reapers. And he said to his father, my head hurts. Oh, my head. Oh, my head. So he said to his servant, carry him to his mom. Isn't that what we do, dads? Oh, he's got a problem. Get some help. Go to mom. And when he had taken him and brought him to his mother, he sat on her knees till noon. And he died. God, you blessed me to take it. You gave to take. That can't be God. God, why would you do that to me? Why? Why? Oh, why? Oh, why? You know, I didn't even ask you. I never asked you for a son. Not out loud. I mean, I didn't ask the man of God to speak over me and bless me with this son. But you sent this man of God to me. He brought it up. And here I am. I've got a son. I've loved this son. I've watched him grow. And now you have taken him. Look around just for a second. Bad things happen to good people. Well, why don't you help me to understand that? I can't. I don't know why. I mean, listen, I'm human. I ask God all the time, why? God understands us asking why. As long as I understand that there is an answer and it's a good answer and it will work out for my good. Why? Because the Word of God tells me that all things work together for good that love God and are called according to His purpose. So although I may not understand, God, why you've done this or why you have allowed this bad thing to happen to me, I know that you are in control. So, thirdly, don't think that just because you're blessed, that bad things won't happen. I'm moving along. Do y'all like how I'm calling them out so you can write them down so neatly? Know where to go and who to trust when things get bad. Is that good? Know where to go. Know who to trust when things get bad. Oh, let's keep right on reading in this little story. We'll soon be to the end. Verse 21. And when she went up and she laid him on the bed of the man of God, shut the door upon him, and she went out. She called to her husband and she said, please send me one of the young men and one of the donkeys that I may run to the man of God and come back. So he said, why are you going today? It's not Sunday. Why are you going today? It's neither the new moon nor the Sabbath. And she said, it's well. And then she saddled a donkey and said to her servant, drive and go forward. Do not slacken the pace for me unless I tell you. Go as fast as you can. Don't worry about me. We're going to get there just as quickly as we possibly can. And so she departed and went to the man of God at Mount Carmel. And so it was that when the man of God saw her afar off, that he said to his servant Gehazi, look, the Shulamite woman. Please run now to meet her and say to her, is it well with you? Is it well with your husband? Is it well with your son, with your child? And she said, it's well. This is absolutely an amazing story. Nowhere to go when things get bad. We go everywhere except where we need to go. Things get bad in our life and we complain to everybody. We want to call the neighbor, we want to call the friend, we want to complain to this one, we want to complain to that one. Oh, you won't believe all I got going on in my life. And the last person that we ever go to is to the throne of God. The last place. Which should be the first place that we go in our lives is to God. You got to know where to go. Listen to me, church. Some would say, oh, that's way too simple. As simple as it may be, I know and you know that we struggle with this because we can't touch God. We can't see God. And somehow there's something missing in our connection of understanding that He is an omnipotent God, that there's nothing that He cannot do. Learn to cry out to God and tell Him everything that's going on in your life. Know where to go when you get into trouble. And number 5, always keep the right attitude. Look at the person beside you and say, he's fixing to talk about attitude. You may want to listen. How many of you have ever run into somebody with a bad attitude? How many of you have ever run into church people with bad attitudes? Let me just say this. There's never any excuse for our bad behavior. Never. I don't care what's going on in our life. I don't care what kind of trouble there is. There's never an excuse for behaving wrongly. There's never an excuse for rudeness. There's never an excuse for bitter attitudes. There's never an excuse in any of our lives for behaving ungodly in our lives. Well, it's just my personality. Well, you need to get your personality saved. You certainly need to get it sanctified. More damage is caused in the Lord's house because we can't learn how to act in our lives. Now, I know that for the most part, every one of you have had a pretty good attitude in the last hour. You've been nice, you've been smiling. Occasionally, you'd even laugh. But it's not exactly how you act here. It's how you act all that. In fact, it's not how you act when things are good. It's how you act when things are bad. Okay? Here's a woman that I'm telling you, things are bad. She's got a son that she wasn't expecting, that God just blessed her with, and now God has taken the breath right out of that boy, and here he is dying in her arms, and she lays him on the bed, and her son's gone, and now the only thing she knows is, I'm going to run to the man of God just as fast as I can get there. And here, Elisha sees her coming, and he says, listen to his servant, go out there and find out. Ask her, is she okay? Ask her, is her husband okay? Ask her, is her child okay? And here she is when he gets there, instead of saying, no, I'm not okay. No, I'm not fine. Everything in my life is bad. It's well. It's okay. It's going to be all right. Just, excuse me. I just need to get to the man of God. It's going to be all right. I need to get past, I'm sure you're a nice guy, but you can't take care of my problem. So as far as it goes with you, it's good. It's good. It's good. I just got to get to the man of God. So she gets to the man of God. And she says, I didn't ask you for a son. Broken heart, and here's a servant trying to get the Shulamite woman away from Elisha, and he says, leave her alone. Can't you see she's hurting? Listen, when you're before God and you're hurting, and the world's trying to pull you here, and this one's trying to, you'll get distracted if you're not careful. You'll have well-intended people around you trying to get you away from what's the best thing for you. You'll have people that really even care about you and they love you, but they're pulling you in a direction that you don't need to go, because where you need to be is right there in the presence of an Almighty God, because that's your deliverance, that's your help, that's your breakthrough. That's the only one that can fix the problem in your life. It's the only one that as Elisha goes and he lays on that body, cold body, puts his hands on his hands, his face on his face, and breathes life, and that body becomes warm. And then he begins to sneeze. Over. Achoo! Achoo! 7 times he begins to sneeze. And Elisha says, go bring Mom. Can you imagine the moment when the man of God breathed life back into a dead situation? And the joy that come from that mom. I'm here today to tell you that I don't know what you're going through. I don't know the pains. I just know God's got it. God's got this thing. If you will just learn how to be content. Learn how to trust God. Learn where to go when you got some trouble. Always keep the right perspective in your life. You sometimes are not going to know the answer until you get before God. But know this, it's best for you, whatever it was. You see, because sometimes when we experience loss in our life or God removes things in our lives, it's not really a removal. Even with loved ones, it's separation. It's just separation. Yes, it's painful. The last 6 months of our life has been painful. And some of you have experienced those things too. But God didn't take away Pop because He didn't love us. He took Pop because He loved Pop. He took him because He wanted him to be with Him. All I got to do is live for God, and oh man, it's just a matter of time. We'll be reunited. And that's going to be okay. God knows what I'm experiencing here right now. He's able to fill the void in my life, but God's expecting me to have the right attitude. He's expecting me to be content. He's expecting me to trust Him in this journey and to know that if I will trust Him, if I will obey Him, He will breathe life back into my pain in my life. He will give me hope. He will give me, He's got this thing. You may have heard this story, but I'm going to tell it to you anyway. Horatio G. Spafford. He was a successful lawyer. He was a successful businessman in Chicago. What a lovely wife. A family. His wife Anna, and they had 5 children. However, they were not strangers to tears and tragedy. Bad things happen to good people. Their young son died with pneumonia in 1871. And in that same year, much of their business was lost in the Great Chicago Fire. Yet God, in His mercy and His kindness, He allowed the business to flourish once more. On November the 21st in 1873, on a French ocean liner is crossing the Atlantic from the U.S. to Europe with 313 passengers on board. Among those passengers were Miss Spafford and their 4 daughters. Mr. Spafford had planned to go with his family, but he found it necessary to stay in Chicago to help solve an unexpected business problem. You see, nothing is unexpected to God. God knows what He's doing. He told his wife that he would join her and their children in Europe just a few days later. His plan was to take simply another ship. About 4 days into the crossing of the Atlantic, another ship collided with a Scottish ship, and suddenly all of those that were on board the ship were in grave danger. Anna hurriedly brought her 4 daughters to the deck, and she knelt and she prayed. It's amazing. As she prayed with Annie, Margaret Lee, Bessie, and Tanetta, she prayed this prayer: God, please spare us if that's your will. Or help us to learn how to endure whatever awaits us. Within approximately 12 minutes, the ship was beneath the dark waters of the Atlantic, carrying 226 of its passengers including the 4 Spafford children. A sailor rowing a small boat over the spot where the ship went down spotted a woman floating on a piece of the wreckage, and there was Anna, still alive. He pulled her into the boat, and they were picked up by another large vessel, and 9 days later landed in Wales. From there, she wired her husband a message which began, "Saved, alone, what shall I do?" Mr. Spafford, he later framed the telegraph and he placed it in his office. Another of the ship's survivors, his name was Pastor Wise. He later recalled Anna saying, "God gave me 4 daughters, and now they've been taken from me. And someday, I'll understand why." Mr. Spafford, he booked passage on the next available ship and left to join his grieving wife. With the ship about 4 days out, the captain, he called Spafford to his cabin and he told him that they were over the place where his children went down. According to Bertha Spafford Vester, a daughter that was born after the tragedy, Spafford wrote, "It is well with my soul." Sir, our ship is now at the spot where your 4 daughters were lost. It's well. When peace like a river attendeth my way, when sorrows like sea billows roll, whatever my lot, Thou hast taught me to say, it is well, it is well with my soul.
Thanks again for watching this week's video sermon. Have a blessed week, and we hope you will join us again next week.